What is up, you guys? I am back and I am so excited to share this episode with you this week. We have the one, the only Wreckno joining me on the podcast. I have been looking forward to speaking with them for such a long time, and I'm so glad we could finally make it happen after their set at SolFest, which was an absolute party. Wreckno is in a lane of their own. If you've ever been to a Wreckno show, you know there is no show like a Wreckno show. They are so incredibly talented. They are such a light and an inspiration to so many creatives and individuals out there in general. They've played some of the biggest venues and festivals across North America, such as Bonnaroo, Electric Forest, Lollapalooza. They've received support from so many major magazines, landing a cover spread in DJ Mag North America. They've just been also nominated for Best North American Live Act for 2023, alongside acts such as Odessa and more, which is so insane and so well deserved. Without further ado, let's just hop in, turn everything off, get ready to clock in. This is Lizzy Jane, and you're tuning into my podcast with special guest Wreckno. The show today was brought to you by Vitaplur E-Boost Gum. With no pill to take or powders to mix, Vitaplur E-Boost Gum is a first-of-its-kind energy rave supplement that provides magnesium, electrolytes, and antioxidants while you chew. Vitaplur is the perfect complement to my active lifestyle, whether it's at the festival, on the road touring, or hitting the gym. Chew Vitaplur and dance with confidence. Use code LizzyJane for 10% off any order.
Beow, beow, beow.
Meow, meow. Wreckno, you're here.
Lizzy Jane.
You just killed your set at SolFest. How did it feel? Super fucking hot, sweaty dance party.
Honestly, that was fucking amazing. I love this festival. I'm totally gagged by it. I'm not gonna lie.
I feel like, especially with these like smaller independent festivals, you never really know how it's gonna go down. You've been around the block a few times.
I go, am I gonna get paid? Just kidding. I knew I was gonna get paid for this, but like, you know, sometimes when you go to the smaller Wook festivals and you're like, I hope they have like the stage set up, you know.
Yeah,
you never know.
I hope not only they can hear me talking, but I can like also press play on the CDJs and you know transition to the next song.
Hoping that the equipment works and everything. So it was great. Everything that because I was here yesterday, so I got to see like the boys play and Smokeland, all my friends. And I just was like, I knew how small this was last year because I had friends on it. And just looking at the crowd, looking at the production, and I just was like, holy shit, like this glow up into 1 year?
Not a normal glow up. You're like, yes.
I said, who did you suck? Sorry.
It's very true though. Last year, 800 people. This year, 5 to 7K.
Like
incredible. Not normal. And they have it so well consolidated. They know the crowd that they're appealing to. They know how to book these acts. You have no conflicting scheduled times. And the vibes in the crowd are like so respectful, so nice. Everybody has their own room. You know, it's very rare when you see something this well put together that also has the vibes and the people to match.
And it's brand new. That's insane. It's like they're catching, like, I know this is another festival's name, but they're catching lightning in a bottle by just like this weekend. I felt it. I was like, also, let's just also say like throwing in like a pool party situation and bringing that like
summer camp
really
vibes.
It was like MTV Spring Break out there. Like that was insane.
Literally insane. I pulled up, we started unloading everything, and I'm watching people go jump, dance in the water, on the rope slide, on the obstacle course. It's literally like 13-year-old mom sends you to summer camp, absolute party, except now we're all adults and we're at a music festival.
Exactly. It was really fun for me because I just looked out. It's like all these ripped ass dudes in their swim trunks just like, yeah, fucking getting it. And I was like, all right, okay.
You're like, we're in
I was
it.
like, can I do a pre-recorded set and go out there right now? But
and actually like dance and like have fun.
Do you ever have that with your set? Like for me, I'm like, I wish I could be like vibing out there right now because the shit's good.
Well, I think with you, there's a huge differentiation you're kind of walking into in the next chapter of the Wreckno project, where not only huge congratulations for being DJ
nominated for DJ Mag's Best Live Act of 2023. Can we all clap? Because that's a huge fucking accomplishment. With Odessa, with Olan, with so many names that are just legends.
Zero clue that I had no fucking idea it was coming. And also, like, last year we have busted ass to bring such a different show when I perform, and I'm a performer, like, at my core. So
at your core,
yes.
You can tell. You can just tell.
When I've got my dancers with me and I'm doing my thing on stage, and honestly, it's probably maybe like 6 times now that we've gotten it on massive stages. Like, we go all in and we go hard and we work our asses off. So it was so nice to see that nomination. It was like my little cookie. I didn't expect to get a cookie, but
Gold
I got one.
Gold star, like the one.
I was like,
like
thanks
the
for
warm
the cookie.
Ones,
I was like, I'm not beating Odessa, but like.
Yes, right? but you're there, and it's like
that's what matters.
To be, I would say, like,
who the fuck? Just kidding.
I'm looking, I'm staring. I'm just kidding.
Is that the Scream ringtone?
I love it. I love it. It's like throwback to like the 70s.
Literally.
To be thrown in with such amazing acts just shows not only like to your credibility, but like the notoriety that not only the people on the front end as far as fans, but also like industry people and like label people and like Universal Music Group and all of this stuff like has just this underlying overwhelming, I would just say, like, heart of support for not only what you've done, you've created your own lane, very simply put.
Thank
and
you.
And I think that just how we were discussing earlier, people like Grant, Grizz, Omar, More Kismet,
icons,
hello.
Great, like I said, great company to be mentioned with. I love both of them so much.
And they're sweethearts, and I just think that there's this whole lane opening where a lot of people are looking at you and other artists like yourself and saying, this is realistic, this is possible.
This is queer is most important. It's very queer.
Yes.
Yeah. I always say, one, with Grant specifically, I will never be able, like, words will never be able to thank him enough for even just even before we made Medusa, like, his cosign as a friend was so, like, special for me because I was a huge Grizz stan. We would drive everywhere.
Detroit.
Yeah, I mean, like, I'm from Northern Michigan, so we would go everywhere to see Grizz. And to then, like, have his... First off, Grant, like, met me when I didn't even know how to use CDJs. I was using, like, a Newmark Mix Track Pro 3, just, you know, doing what I had to do because that's what I knew. And Grant somehow saw something in me from... I wasn't even, like, comfortable with my gender identity or anything to, like, where it is now. I just know... He is so proud. So
it's a glow up. It's 100% a glow up.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. But yeah, just like amazing company to be mentioned with. And I will say, when it comes to everything we've been doing this last year, like when I think of Wreckno, like my crew, my dancers that I work with and make all these cool performances with, like they are Wreckno as well. We are all putting in work to try to do something that will make each big moment feel like, you know, special and not like, oh, they do this every time or they do like, I don't know. It's really reinvigorated my love for performing and honestly the scene in general.
I feel like it's very similar to a producer kind of starting not only like a side project, but like developing this like love and passion again for something that makes you feel not only artistically fulfilled, but like happy to the core.
Literally.
And I heard about the Wreckno train for so long, and I just never had the opportunity.
Oh yeah, train.
We officially hopped on at Res Rocks last year.
Love.
Week of Halloween. You know, you played direct support for her. Absolutely love Isabella. You came out, and for me, my jaw dropped. And I think there were a lot of people around me that had never really seen you perform. And, you know, it's Red Rocks, and you pull out all the stops for Red Rocks. And you came out, the performers came out, and all of us were just like, holy shit, Wreckno is it. Like, this is not something that our industry really sees commonly. And you've really taken so many different influences from, you know, what we were talking about earlier, Lady Gaga, pop, hip hop, dancing, the choreo, the looks, the brand, and you've put it all into this very cool thing that is just very you. I mean, you can't think of another artist out there and try and really batch them with what you're doing. And that's a very, very difficult thing in this day and age to successfully accomplish. So I want to know the background on just bringing dancers into the picture when you got the opportunity to say, I've done all these DJ sets, I've done with all of these shitty ass audio guys, and I'm a vocalist myself. And when they see an EDM show,
they didn't want to give me a microphone, dude. They were like, why do you need that?
Why do you need that? It's an EDM show. This is my night off. I'm here to play video games. I'm not even clocked in. They go EDM, ha ha.
Well, also if you're like a woman or also a queer person,
you don't know what you're
they're
doing.
just gonna be like, you're an idiot anyways. So also, I will say sometimes the best compliments you get is from the random crotchety dudes you think are maybe douchey sound guys, and they're like, that was great,
and
good
then
show.
They're so impressed, literally.
Yeah, and I'm like, thanks, Dad. Like,
you hear it in your monitor, and they're like, wow, that was sick, or like tight show, because they're not used to seeing that. And walk me through that transition from I've done the DJ sets, I've paid my time, I've done X, Y, and Z, and now I get to kind of have this creative freedom of this was my vision since day one.
Yeah.
How do we make this happen and make this come to life?
So, I mean, like, I started DJing in 2015. I will always be so in love with bass music culture and, everything it's brought into my life. Like, most of my friend group and everyone I know, like my partner, I know through bass music, like, and my love for it. So it's just like, it's a way of life, honestly. Like, when you're like super into it, like if you know, if you don't, you don't. But like, I had a lot of years where my friends and people who didn't understand in my life were just like, I guess he's like do another festival. And for a while it made no sense because I was maybe like booking it a little bit every now and again. But eventually I started DJing and just I did some like open deck competitions. There was the right people in the room. It sucks that I don't want to ever say the industry it's not all about who you know at all. It's about what you do, how you treat people, and who you impress too. Because if you impress the right people by doing what you're passionate about, the doors just open. And that happened for me when I was gay and out, but I wasn't like what you're seeing now, and I wasn't comfortable with myself yet. And, I did a lot of, shitty, random shows where,
as we all,
the sound guys hate me. And I started rapping right before the pandemic hit. I had my first big moment on stage at Okeechobee with G-Space and Ruku.
Love them both.
Period.
Tampa fam. I know them very well.
The best people
Love
ever.
them.
And I had my first they cut the music and I said the line is, "You ain't serving bitch, you just look like a waiter." And the crowd fucking erupted, and then we hit a pandemic. But that was like where I was like, oh my God, I can do the performer thing and be a DJ. It's gonna make sense. And slowly it's kind of now branched into, I'm gonna fucking do choreo and give you a whole show, which is, I learned how to dance learning all of Lady Gaga's music videos in my room and like doing her tour set list like over and over from like 14 to 16. So I've been training for a while. But now I get to do it, which is amazing.
It is amazing. And I definitely attest to just your passion and just touching on what you said, it's really difficult because I think a lot of aspiring producers are just people who haven't quite started their journey or found their way yet. Gatekeeping tends to be this thing, or networking tends to be this thing where it's like, it is, and it is this and it is that. And I feel like, correct me if I'm wrong, the best relationships that have done the most for my career have been genuine people that
I didn't have to try. Literally, even talking about Grant, like that, I barreled into his life looking like a mess, and he was just like, "You're cool." And it naturally, we progressed to an awesome friendship, and it never felt like I gotta get there so I can impress him. And I think I always tell my friends who are in parts of their career where they're feeling stuck, or they're looking for that label release, or they're looking for that next thing that's gonna validate. I understand it because I'm hungry for it. We're all hungry for that. But like, the more you try to like chase after it, sometimes you can suffocate, like take the air out of the room worrying about it. And the most natural things come, or the best things for you really come naturally, and your people find you really.
They absolutely do. And it's just really I think people say this all the time, but again, easier said than done, putting your trust in the process, putting your trust in the journey, because
that's a lot harder to do when you're broke as shit though. So I get it.
That's very true.
This process is paying me dust. I'm not trusting this bitch as far as I could throw her.
So talk about that though, because I think a lot of us, including myself, you know, when you're an artist and you're starting from scratch and you weren't maybe handed the deck of cards as somebody else, you have to bust your ass, and it's like starting a motherfucking business, and you have to invest in yourself for that to grow.
And not just money, time. And I will say the first year, even like the open deck competitions I was talking about, that happened in early 2019. The rest of 2019, I made $0, but I said yes to fucking everything. I would call these, they're the kind of gigs where you go for a hot dog and a handshake. And then you get on your way. But if you do I did really good at those gigs. I always turned it out. I pop my pussy, and I made no money. I was broke as shit. I had to find a sugar daddy. Like, it was a whole thing. But like, I had to live in Vegas for a while. It was weird.
Learning all these things.
Exactly.
Today. I love.
I'm an open book. Whatever you want to know. But it just. I understand when some people who are at the starting phase, they already have, well, I don't have this. I still am surprised I get paid at all sometimes. But some people, their worth is already there, and they're like, why am I not getting paid like at least $1,000 when you're kind of not, when you don't have notoriety? I sometimes try to remind my friends, like, bitch, you have to say yes to these gigs that you hate, or like
put your time in
and go, do great, and then you're going to get paid next time, hopefully.
It does come full circle.
It does. It takes the time it takes for every person, but I swear to you, the foundation I laid to what I get to do now is because I did a lot of shit for free, and just because I was like, I got to go, this is my path. I have to do this.
Well, and it's your passion, and I think at the end of the day, if you really know that like a calling is your own, and you're like, I can't see myself doing anything else in
I didn't graduate
life.
from high school, so like this was it.
This was it. And I think that's honestly a lot of how people like you and I sit, where there is no plan B. Maybe you got to do side jobs, and you got to do hustles, and you got to do this, and you got to do what you got to do in order to support yourself.
This is plan A. It always has been.
This is
like,
plan A. So
that kind of makes you feral too, because you're like, well, this has to work out. So you're like, I have to just do everything. Exactly.
And it really makes it this kind of almost do or die situation, and you look at it, and when the passion is there, you're like, I'm going to do whatever I have to do to make this work. And now you've done multiple headline tours, so many amazing things of the lane that you've curated for a very special, I think people have always looked at the electronic dance music culture as a safe place, kind of quote unquote blur, all of that fun stuff. However, with the commercialization of it, it really has grown to this thing where it's not always a safe space. And the message that you communicate to your fan base is incredibly positive, loving, and inviting of a safe space. And I see that in the videos at the venues of parties that you do. When you started headlining at first, was it kind of these massive venues out the bout, or did you start small and really grow?
We're still doing small venues. Like, I mean, it's definitely not, it was like other people's main shows that were huge that I would come in and do support, which also are really great for, like, there's markets I can't crack open really well. So I'm like, go do the like anybody else's show, so it's on them if it fails. But it literally, I mean, it really has been like from small town dive bars in northern Michigan to like somehow main stage, or like Tripoli Electric Forest, or like Lollapalooza last year. It's been a gradual climb, but when it comes to just me as like a headlining artist, we're still building in all the markets that we can. But
they look like such a party. They are
party.
Like
they're good parties.
Party.
It is a party. Like, we just played Fayetteville, Arkansas, and I was like so surprised. Like 500 people came, and I'm just like, I came in super. I did Wakan Fest, but I was like, nobody's gonna fucking show up in Arkansas. And we had a packed ass room, and I was like, see, this is shit I don't expect. But then I'm also from a small town too, so I know if I had someone like me growing up, like Grant didn't come out, I think, until like 2017. And I was a stan, but if I had someone like super, super loud and gay in this seat, like I would have been about it. So
and I have a feeling that people really traveled to see you as well.
Someone said they came all the way from New York just to come see me here. And I was like, girl, period. See, like, what?
And isn't that crazy?
I
Isn't
like
that a
don't even
crazy
want to leave
feeling?
bed to walk to the fridge sometimes. It's like bad. That's insane to me.
Does it feel a bit like an out of body experience, kind of seeing your project and your just Wreckno and your confidence and everything in general boil to this kind of tipping point?
I keep waiting for someone to just like take it away.
Don't you feel sometimes that you're like
You're like waiting
is
for
this
the
a joke?
other
Is this
shoe
a
to drop
joke?
sometimes. You're like, wait, I get to do this as my life and the last 2 years since the pandemic lifted, I've busted ass and done so many shows that now I understand the routine of it. But there are days like where me and my partner, like we just have moments together where we're like, this is such a cool life. Like I wouldn't want to do fucking anything else. This is what I set out to do since I was like younger. So
Well, that's how you know you're in the right place. And let's talk
Absolutely.
about that too, because I think in EDM you can become the quote unquote touring mule very, very, very easily.
absolutely.
And it's very hard to find time and balance to not only create but maintain some sort of a cohesive, my life's not a hot mess kind of thing.
It sucks. I always feel bad, like, because I'm touring so much.
Like saying no.
Well, I don't. I say yes to a lot of stuff still, but I feel bad because my creativity, it comes in weird bursts, and once I travel, like that week is shot kind of for me internally. Like unless someone else is like I'm collaborating or someone's like really pushing for it. Like I've just been taking a huge break on like
But
hammering.
you need breaks. You need breaks.
You do. My break has been like, I guess it's not been as long as it feels internally, but it's just been like probably like 3 months now. But we did just sign a record deal, which was sickening. So
Can you give some details? Not
Yes,
quite
I
yet.
definitely
Okay,
can.
talk.
so I just signed a record deal with it's called Helix Records. It's not Helix Studios. Gays know. But it's pretty much so I didn't graduate high school. I never went to college. I've been telling people it sounds more glamorous than it probably is, but it's like I got my first student loan to make art. That's essentially what it is.
That's honestly so badass.
I love it. And it's really cool as a vocalist to now be like, you work with all your bass friends or, people in the industry that see what you're doing, and that our scene is so niche, like when it comes down to the grand
so niche.
scheme of music. Like we are a tiny, tiny little like sub thing of music. But when you are super into it, all these other artists see you, they want to work with you. It's natural you get to work with people.
And you end up knowing absolutely
Everyone. I feel like everybody I know in the scene is here today or yesterday. But this is my first time going out to LA. There's set up studio sessions where they're like
real
hey,
record deal.
a record deal where
motherfucking
they're like,
record
we
deal,
put you in here. Like I walked into the first studio and it's like got Steve Aoki's Boneless plaque on the wall. Like it was the room they made Boneless in. And I was just like, what the fuck is going on? It's just crazy, but they put you in rooms with people like writers, producers.
You have a whole team now.
Yes. But sometimes things don't shake out. Sometimes it's a little weird, honestly. You're kind of just meeting a bunch of random people, but like you're just like, okay, like hope we vibe. And my whole experience has been great. There's some sickening writers. They keep there was like one who just wrote for Beyonce, which was insane. And I was like, that's shit I would never be able to do just on my own. So it has been very eye-opening, and I get why people move to LA now, like to grind.
100%. I feel like LA is one of those places where you have to be okay with paying like $14 for a can of peanut butter.
And I'm not. I like having money, so I will never live in LA. I don't like cutting my paychecks in half. So,
but you're still in Detroit, right? So Detroit is close.
Yes.
So kind of going back to this whole thing, I've talked to individuals where kind of the bass music scene and just electronic dance music in general, I think is not necessarily not as open, but it's not as conducive to a very collaborative environment where you're in a room of 20 people and you've got 5 producers and 15 writers and a few lyricists.
No,
and
our
some
scene looks
performers.
down on like anything that feels like someone had help or someone
wrote this for
yes,
you. Or someone did
but
this
the real
for you.
I don't want to say the real music industry. I understand because I have several friends with that mentality as well. But I'm a collaborator. I love working with people.
The more minds, the better.
Yes.
That's how I always look at it.
Absolutely. But I understand our scene has a very I'm not gonna. There's certain parts of the scene that are super elitist.
Love it.
And it's like I don't know. Like I am a very unconventional person, and my project's unconventional, and I want to work with the best fucking writers
You
of music
wanna
if I
be
can.
in a room that you feel like you're the smallest person there because that's how you're gonna grow.
Get better.
The most.
Absolutely. And for me, I'm a lot of my bro friends, they're amazing, but they're not writing lyrics really. They're making sick bass music that like with the sound like sound design, like I can't touch it. Like I don't know how
suck
to
at sound design.
I suck at it, but like I have an ear. I love to produce my simple little beats and then work with other people and get them to like a slapping state. And it's just like it's just like drowning out the elitist shit cuz like
Here, I'll ask this so it's recorded.
okay.
She asked, like, and I'm gonna piggyback on that. She asked how does it make feeling like lyricist poetic stuff into music, into bass music slappers, but also I want to know like your process in writing lyrics because you've always been a lyricist.
Yes. So I started writing when I was like 15, and like now it's very like when I work with other people, it's been like, sometimes I'll have little like ideas that come to me on a plane or like as I'm sleeping, just wake up, write it down. I will say whenever you have bursts of inspiration, if you're a creative person, like even if it's a reminder to like about an idea, take
memos.
it, because that is something somewhere telling you, it's like a cue. You have to take it when it comes. And I love writing. I've been really obsessed with this is really random, but Melanie Martinez lately.
Yes.
And
yes.
the way that she like, me and my boyfriend are obsessed, and she tells stories with her music. It's like a whole thing, but like, I'm like at a point where with poetry specifically, like I want to start working more in that realm and being a little bit more open and playful with like more of an artsy side. Because I mean, let's be real. I'm usually like, I drop ass, I shake ass, like like I'm like, I don't know if that's like a haiku or anything, but
you want like the jazz snaps,
yes.
like the like these at the end,
right? Which I do have poetry, but I guess I haven't used like poetry in my songs that much. But I mean, I make my little raps and shit,
which I love. Do you take that kind of from I think you're really great at writing really fucking catchy hooks. If you look at a lot of your songs, everybody knows every single word.
Aww.
And it's not a simple thing to do, I think, especially when you're not in a room full of writers and you're just
hoping, you're just throwing shit at a wall, hoping it sticks,
yeah.
honestly.
Do you take that kind of from personal experience, personal stories, kind of like chip on your shoulder kind
Absolutely.
of things?
Some of the shit for sure. Like, I mean, if I had a fucking dollar for every like dude in this scene or industry that's like said negative things behind my back or like just not got it, they just didn't get it.
I can't imagine.
Yeah, I know you can, my girl.
Well, I can a little bit because I'm also a female sitting here.
That's what I mean. That's what I mean.
But you have the uphill obstacles.
Those things, the best thing to do with those kind of anger is to write about it.
Oh,
I don't need to say that person's name, social security number, address, or like anything like that. But I can like subtweet via my music and be like, fuck you, I know I'm worth it.
It's the best way to do it. And then
absolutely.
you go platinum.
You
and
just ball
like,
it up, put it there, and then it's done.
And it's the perfect creative outlet because I think there's so many things in life and there's so many things that happen in this industry where I think you and I can relate a bit where it is quite an uphill battle.
It is.
You really have to just kill them with kindness and you have to throw that over your shoulder.
You catch more flies with honey.
I love it. That's honestly such...
My manager says that to me every time I'm about to have a bitch fit. So that's what it's a repeated
shout out
thing.
Artist managers. They really come in clutch.
Literally.
Okay, so we kind of have covered a little bit of your writing process. I want to know the future of the project. I wanna kind of dive into, you're really an accumulation of so many different melting pots that have become you, and now you're your own melting pot.
Who's hungry?
Who's hungry? Love it. You're doing a huge tour in the midst of a huge tour, headlining.
There's like
all of
2 tours happening right now. I'm like, what the fuck?
I know. And I have a feeling it's not stopping anytime soon.
I got like 1 month off this year, so. Woo!
Rip. Really enjoy that month.
I will.
You sleep a lot.
I will not be moving.
I love it. Bring breakfast to bed.
Absolutely.
100%. Album, record label deal,
I
future?
wanted to hold off on an album because it's my first record deal. We really wanted to feel out the whole process, and so far it's been amazing. But it's like a as you go thing where like I'm gonna start with where there's maybe an EP that's being worked on. And a lot of my favorite someone I use as a reference was like Ash Nico, who I'm like super obsessed with. And like she waited a while to do an album, and like if you can get some like fire like coverage with just like short and sweet EPs that really just like present who you are
that
as
are
an
conceptual
artist.
to your
Absolutely.
vision.
And it's kind of like an as you go thing. We're gonna feel it out after the first one, see if we keep going and keep moving forward. But like all I will say is that the further we keep going, the crazier the performances are gonna get, the crazier the music videos are gonna get. And yeah, like I have to just shout out my manager David. Like there's so much intention by us and our team. Like, and he's also a gay boy. That's why I stuck with him, because I was like, I will not be talking to a straight man every day. Fuck that shit. And it was the best thing I could have ever done, because I have a queer person who is super radical and also works in this industry like hardcore, such a good worker, but then also likes the same shit as I do and wants to push the same boundaries. And we're always just like, okay, what can we do next? So like right now we're working on the like Big Gay Soiree is like our branded thing. But we're working on a show where we can incorporate drag queens and have them do numbers in between each DJ act. So, which would be iconic. So it's just like slowly building on all of the stuff we were getting to do already. And
I can't wait until the day when you have your own festival and it's just this
girl.
thing that no one has ever seen. Like it's gonna be. Obviously we've talked about this a lot, melting pots, kind of pop, electronic, dance, hip hop, all of that
All of
stuff.
it.
Are you going to be stepping a bit more, I would say, out of this bass-orientated lane to maybe a different little pocket, working with the label, going in this pop lane?
So like so my like love for bass music will never be gone. So there is always going to be influences from where I'm came from and everything, but I'm also very open to like working with these new producers who do produce for like pop stars and shit, because like I like that's so new. That's like what I wanted to do my whole life. So it's just like one of those things where like the new song I played today, it's called DL with Jordan Moody. I played it near the beginning of my set. That's something that is like from me and someone I love in the bass community, like by us with our vibe, but it came from like this scene. Like that shit will absolutely still be included in my projects coming up. So like I think I'll always have like that edge to me, but I want to make pop music too. Like so
Absolutely.
I'm open to all of it.
And I think you're just the perfect person to kind of go back and forth where you can do the Soulfest, but then you can also do the Lollas and
Absolutely.
the Bonnaroos.
And you have to read the room at these other things where nobody knows who you are, like you have to play some of the more stuff that people might, be aware of. And
how do you approach sets like that to really kind of captivate people who aren't, again, aware of you, and then kind of twist it on them and be like, this is who I fucking am?
So I would say I do like doing some of the more mainstream ones sometimes, because you can go more poppy with it, and I don't even care, because I'm like, well, some people in this crowd probably do know this song, and then I can, like, if it's like a super heady dubstep crowd, like they maybe, I don't know, everybody liked Lady Gaga today when I played it, right? So it's like there's no actual rules, but like sometimes I've opened for like super heavy dubstep people, and I have a really wide range of tastes, and I think my least favorite is trying to appease like dubstep kids, I guess, because I love heavy shit in increments, but I like that's not what I'm giving all the time. So there's just times when I'm like,
well, and I always feel like that kind of like wonkier, like
underground bass, like
experimental, big saw waves,
trap,
like gorilla kind of stuff is always the best. And I know when you kind of started, you were really big into trap, and you were really big into that kind of stuff.
Still, I will always love trap music. Holy shit!
Did you feel like you kind of made beats to always complement your vocals? Or
Absolutely.
Did you kind of take a moment and you're like, I'm going to really try and get good at the beat making process, or did that come with collaboration?
So I would say with like bigger songs like Honey Drip, or like I'm trying to think of other ones. Like they're like so ones where it's like just me producing would be like Honey Drip and like Delusional and shit. Like there's just certain ones where like the vocals are going to be the forefront. So which is I'm really good at making kind of like simple beats, like simple trap beats and shit like that like are fire to me and I love rapping over. But I also still like I always have more to learn in production.
We all do though.
But I also am doing a lot of different things too. So I've learned to be a lot lighter on myself about what I don't know. And I will say like Super Future, that's my fucking boy.
Love,
and
love.
he is such a guiding light in my life. Like I can always call him and ask him like just questions I have. He's pretty much my engineer. Like he helps me mix and master most of my music. So like he's just like that's daddy. I love him. And like it's really about like the people you have around you who like see what you're trying to do and like love you for you and like see the worth that you have and find like staying with those people essentially.
Talking about a support system.
Yes.
When everything kind of started to happen and just in this industry in general, I think if you don't have those people saying, hey, reality check, you can get lost very easily, lose yourself, lose your goals, and everything else in between. It seems like you have a pretty tight crew that you keep close to you.
I do.
Let's shout those people out. And I want to talk about how they've kind of been there for you in all of this. Because not only have you had a huge uphill battle, people come into the picture, the more successful you get.
Oh, without a doubt.
Like, hey,
you have to do a lot more like paying attention to like who's genuine, and then like it's not no new friends because we love making new friends, but it's like you're like more like so appreciative of the ones who've been there from the low points and the high points and all. Like the best people in your life like don't give a shit that I'm like they won't care what you do. They're just like love you and are super like they're your people. And I will say, like, my success definitely, like, leans on all the people who've supported me and been, like, that foundation while I was, like, finding my footing, for sure.
That's so exciting.
Shout out, like, Arlie and Derek and all the dancers and Super Future and his wife. She's my landlord. Shout out Super Bay. She's an icon.
I love that so much. Okay, before I let you go, I get a little bit of a flash round with you.
Oh, yes. Okay.
Okay. All right. Even though I end up talking a shit ton every time after you answer. All right. So, favorite festival you've played in the last year?
Electric Forest.
Yes. Oh, my God. First festival of my life. I ruined it for myself.
Also me. It's my first one.
Yes. Yes. I would say favorite 2 venues on your last headline tour.
Not the current one.
Not the current one.
Last headline
tour. Think of complete parties that you walked away and you were just like, whoa, that was like popping.
Oh, fuck.
I know these are hard.
I'm like,
I'm
it's
sorry.
such a blur.
Prepared you.
It's such a blur.
Let's just say 2 favorite venues.
Oh, well, I will say big shouts to ATL Aisle 5. We had a 2-nighter that was just so rowdy during Pride weekend. I would say that, and then I don't know. There's Otherworld in Columbus is also very sick.
They love it. They're in the crowd. Favorite thing you put on your rider?
Tequila.
Tequila. What's your choice of tequila?
I like to keep George Clooney in business, so Casamigos. No, but I will say my favorite thing that's like I just always usually ask for like these are like not must-haves. I'm not like freaking out if I don't have it. These are like if they want to, but a disposable camera is great to make memories in new places. So I usually, if they have like a little disposable, I have like 8 at the house right now that need to be developed, but
that's good. They'll always be there.
Absolutely.
2 pieces of
and
advice.
They will always be there because I'm never going. Just kidding.
Exactly. They'll be there till the end. 2 pieces of advice for individuals who want to be doing just what you're doing in the future. Things you wish you told yourself when you were coming up.
Don't listen to, well, 1, don't listen to Twitter. 2, don't listen to I let like other kind of like the sound boy elitist Twitter mindset of all these like dudes and producers I love and look up to, but like sometimes their takes on how there is no right way to fucking make music. That is like like there's the right ways to get things sounding right, but like creativity, there's no fucking rules. So I think something that really deterred me was not feeling like I was worthy of making music when I didn't understand things, and like just throw that shit out. Like that shit's not helping you to not learn. Like everybody learns at their own pace, and also just like don't listen to anybody who's like doesn't get it. Like they don't want to get you at all, and they're never going to. So just like stick with the people who it's not a question like what you're doing. They get it. Yeah. Exactly.
In this industry, it's very easy to let all of these outside voices get in your head,
Oh
and
my
then
God.
you're like, this is fucking with my vision. And it just gets to a point where, also just piggybacking on what you're saying, I think in our industry, a lot of producers produce for other producers.
Oh, without a doubt.
Instead of like, and make it this whole technical thing, instead of like, hey, I'm just making fucking music that people can dance to.
Yeah. I think also too, I see another thing I would say is like, don't like, some people hold on to music for so long that they never release it. That's one thing I see some of my friends go through, where they just like be like allow yourself to let go of things and to finish things and be like, hey, I maybe don't like this mix or like this version of it. It's not how I felt at the beginning, but like it's doing you no favors by sitting in your fucking computer until you pass away. Like that. So that's one thing I will always say, like, get your shit out there regardless of how you feel about it.
Last one, facts. I know this is a difficult question. If you had to choose, what is your favorite song you've ever released?
My favorite song I've ever released
Embodies everything of you in that current era.
I would say, honestly, like Delusional last year was probably like, well, so that whole EP, I started making music with my brother and my mom when I was like 15, and we wrote that whole thing together in my brother's house, like from January to June when it came out. And I wrote Delusional, I produced most of it, and then my brother like came in and put some ear candies in there and like helped like structure the beat. Shout out Dakota, I love you. You're my favorite person in the world. But like that was like a full labor of everything. We would just remake fucking like the Cataracts and Devs songs in our like in our bedrooms and like try to make like weird pop music in 2011. I've worked with Dev, which is insane.
For Lollapalooza, brought her out.
Bitch, that was oh my God, I forget that happened. That was insane. But like to then be like, oh, we then 10 years later made like this thing and doing the same thing we started doing, but for like my project, and like it's just that's where my heart is, making music with him. So I would say probably Delusional. That whole EP honestly is like everything to me.
I love it. Wreckno, you're such a light, an icon, an inspiration to a lot of people. You can never forget that.
Oh, thank you.
I could talk to you forever. Thank you so much for coming on.
I say we can keep going. Just
Bitch, let's go.
Thank you guys so much. Thank you, Lizzy. I've been wanting to do this.
I know,
so.
we've done it. Thank
you.
Thank you guys so much for coming in, chipping in. Applaud. Woo! We did it.